Trevor,
Yes.
will we record? Ah, quick on the draw.
That was the fastest time I got to the recording button.
Aha.
You came in and I boom.
Ba-boom.
Recorded. And I was it was on the tip of my finger anyway because I was like, is Stacy coming? And then I was like, well, I better record.
Well, that sounds good.
Is it only the host who can record?
No, I think everybody can record.
Oh, really?
Try going into more. And then I can send you a link to the videos. Like a couple times Mary wasn't here, and so I sent her the link.
Yeah.
And you don't get the same engagement. You can't be like, geez, Trevor, why'd you do such a weird line? But
yeah,
like,
I don't have options to record under more.
It could be just the host. I don't know.
I believe it is.
I feel like just everyone should be able to record because, you know, equal rights and stuff.
I think you are the only privileged one, Trevor.
I mean, I am wearing diamond, sapphire, golden brooch.
Oh, really? I'm not able to see that. Let me enlarge you. Oh, whoa.
Look at it.
How can I not see that?
I finally got diamonds. Well, a diamond.
You need to turn your hat. Oh, now I see it.
There it is.
Trevor,
Screen share.
I'm impressed.
I've been significantly smarter since I've had diamonds in my aura.
I guess I think that's great.
Thank you.
Was that a present?
It sort of was. It was sort of was. It was a present to myself.
That's a bad time.
It was. I got a very good deal on it. So, oh my gosh! All right, you guys ready to sketch this thing? I think we have a quorum. I'm very nervous. Oh God. Okay.
That makes me much more nervous when you say how nervous you are.
Well, and also the shadow is annoying me. Hold on, let me see if I can lay this down flat. Maybe see the shadow in between the two. It's annoying. All right, so that might make me draw lighter, or be forced to draw lighter. All right. What would you start with, Stacy?
I would start with the woman's hat.
Okay, I think you're right. That's what I'm gonna. We could also get a little bit oriented. I think the intersection here of the hat, the hair and the shoulder, I think might be the geometric center of the entire piece. So the way the French and the English were trained were to, if you have a rectangle, which is basically your paper, if you have that, they would literally fold the paper in half and pinch it, and then hold it sideways and pinch it that way. So they would know where the center of their picture was, and then you could orient your composition based on that, you know, the geometric center of the design. So I'm like, and I know that, and Lautrec, you know, you can actually see it in old drawings. And it was such a standard way of practice that no one even would like think, no one ever even thought twice about it. So if that's the geometric center, I'm gonna find the angle of her shoulder kind of coming down, which is the connection between her jacket and her hair. And then she's got this like cute bob that like swings up and then stays. So I'm really quickly going to go into the brim of that hat. So like I in one sense we are in fact starting with the hat. I just wanted to start with the rectangle because that's what we did. In fact, that's where everybody's starting with their paper is the rectangle. And if you think about the Nagy videos, he actually drew the rectangle, you know, on his paper. He actually kind of cropped his own paper even though he kept the same kind of proportions of the rectangle. Anyway, so that's kind of interesting. We haven't really established any full-blown shapes yet, but we could work on the hat. We've got the bottom of the hair, we've got the bottom of the brim. If we just get the front of her hair with this little sweep right here, I think that would be probably good. I know she probably started with a gestural curve, and then you can see how she kind of like tweaks out. When I say tweaks out, I mean like she's like, whoa, 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 like hold steady, like on a horse. Like you just have to like calm the horse down a little bit. And the way that she did it was by falling back on her straight lines. And that is, so we're building kind of the brim of the hat. We know the general size of it. We know the general shape of it. Now we can hone in and get a little bit more specific. And, you know, because it's hard, because it's not easy to draw, you know, established straight line or like many curves. You start with a gesture, and gestures are really fluid and they're beautiful, but they're like wildly inaccurate. And you know, like cartoon animations and comic books and everything have like these kind of like wild gestures. Reality needs to have gestures, but they just, if you want it to be in the realm of realism, in the realm of like kind of, you know, a traditional proportional range, you've got to like know that it's there, but it becomes, you know, a lot quieter. All right, so she does the brim of the hat because it's a challenge with these straight lines. And then she comes up and there's this next kind of like the anomaly of the hat, because the hat has the brim, but then it has this kind of like cylindrical or even egg-shaped protrusion where the head is. So the brim is lower, and then the hat is the part that actually, you know, rests on the head. So this is where she's like, okay, well, I've got the brim under control, so to speak. Now I can even like find that roundness again. And then that roundness is going to come in front ever so slightly of the front of the brim of the hat. Wow. There seems to be a little spiral that she does here with her paintbrush, which may have been a ribbon, it may have been, you know, an actual flower that she toned down. It could have been a bow. It's hard to say, but it does give a little cosmos spiral in there. That's kind of pretty. Okay, so as this is kind of seen in a 3/4 view, maybe we can like help with the notion of the hair. We can draw, you know, the little strands of what we know to be hair. And then we're going to build this series of fabric sections. And at the base of the hair, there's the collar, which is a triangle, separating the bottom of the hair from the collar of the jacket. Then we have this like really interesting section of fabric, which is, you know, when like there's like kids in like sailor outfits, and then there's like this flap that goes in the back, you know, and not even kids with sailor outfits, like actual sailors, have this flap that goes along like the top plane of the back. So it's like basically from her with the arc. This is her arc of her trapezius, and then the bottom line here, that's like a shelf that's created by her scapula. You know, so if you have the X-ray vision, you can see the scapula through it. You can see the start of her spine, you know, arcing down. And I love that Gwen did this. I mean, she gives us the painted center. I mean, you can actually see how the grid is painted, you know, according to the, you know, the anatomy that's underneath, and whether she's observing that, like she's putting that on there, or whether the fabric, the manufacturer of the dress did that. It doesn't really matter. It's there, so you can actually see the gridding begin in these XY coordinates of the pattern. Anyway, so you have this the mass of the fabric that comes around the jacket and then hits the shoulder, and it goes down. So this triangle hanging off the side is essentially a deltoid, and then her arm angles down into the left, and it's the arm of her puffy jacket. So the deltoid comes here, and then the arm angles down. Now the arm gets lost. You know, the underside of the arm gets lost behind the chair. And so far, I guess this back plane of the fabric and the transition into the shoulder, like this way, that is a suggestion of the third dimension. The egg that's in the top of the hat, that is the suggestion of the third dimension. Everything else has been very, very two-dimensional, very shape-oriented. I guess you could say that the shadows that occur in the hair would imply like the third dimension. But so far it's been mostly shapes, which is kind of good. Now let's just, the fabric of the jacket gets a silhouette here. The jacket comes out at the scapula and then it puffs. It's puffy. You know, it's not the actual scapula that's underneath there. It's the fabric comes out and then it angles back in. And the reason it angles back in, so you get the secondary ridge, is because of the chair. So you have the back of the chair, and the reason I started indicating the third dimension is because we really get the first overt three-dimensional property where you get the light side of the chair and then the shadow side of the chair. It makes this almost like a cube, not almost a cube, it makes a cube. The third dimension occurs again in the other side of the chair where we're seeing the inside of the vertical backing and then a very thin passage on that side. So she's an impressionist and she's not claiming to be anything but an impressionist. So she allows herself some, generalities. I think it's important to know that the chair does come out, basically becomes the silhouette, and then it turns into here, and then the jacket becomes the silhouette up here. And then I wonder if it does come in, and then the hair is the silhouette, and then it goes back up into the hair. So the silhouette of this first girl I think it's pretty exciting, and there's a lot of transitions from the hat into the hair, into the first collar, the second puff of the jacket with the little sailor flap, and then her actual jacket, and then down into the the edge of the chair. There is a connector, a very two-dimensional connector on both the small rung and then the large rung that's at the top. And then that gets all cropped off at the bottom of the picture. Cool. So yeah, this is, so I've been, trained in a way to avoid thinking about silhouettes, but it's not about thinking about them or not thinking about them. It's about emphasizing them and overly emphasizing them, which is what everyone tends to do from any age. You tend to overemphasize the silhouette, but silhouettes are so fun and they're so good. And I think what Gwen was doing here is partially what she's doing. She's got this, I should have started with the puffy fish. I won't, we'll go into this, and then remind me of the puffer fish metaphor. So there's in every composition, you have a theme and you have a variation. So the theme is that they're schoolgirls. In a particular time, they go to the same school in the same culture, probably the same age. They probably have similarities in that they're friends because they're sitting next to one another. That's the theme. It's these girls in costume in England in like the 20s or 30s. The variation is that the theme is that they both have hats, they both have jackets, they're both sitting in chairs, and they're facing the same direction. Those are super solid themes. I mean, that's a lot in common that these two share. They even have decor in their hat. So then if that's the theme, then you take joy and pleasure in the variation on those themes. So if this is a rounded hat seen at 3/4 view, the next girl has got a hat which looks a little bit more, I don't know what the style of the hat is, but it has a brim, not coincidentally, but it has a brim. And the back, and we want to see where the bottom of the brim relates to what's already known. So that's also kind of the challenge that we have here. We have a beautiful sketch of our first sitter. And in a way, that's easy. The challenge is relating the second character to the first character successfully. And I'm picking up all this amazing stuff. So let's just go one shape at a time. So this brim is relatively thick. I don't think it's thick in terms of the fabric, but I think we do see a lot of the top of it. So where the brim of the hat ends and the body of the hat begins, I want to indicate that. And it's essentially a square or a rectangle. And we'll be able to come in and soften the, the transition of the hat. I may have even made that a little bit too big, but we'll see. It's got two clear sides. And then you can actually get more intimate with the hat in that it does have a little edge, a little brim, and then it's got like the extension where it comes off of the main stack of the hat. So it comes out at a length, and then you do have a thickness of a brim. Now it's a watercolor, and with the watercolors wonderfully diffuse kind of content. Whenever you have an intention, something about an object, try to include it. And then if it gets lost, if the intention is there and the medium kind of just washes it out or eliminates it, that's like a thing that it's really important to be able to accept. It's almost like you're allowing the medium to help you. And you're like, no, I want to see it. And I want it to be there. And the medium's like, no, it's not allowed to be there. And you have to say, okay, I trust you. And that's kind of where we're going here. I think she wanted to even say more about the hat, and then the watercolor was doing what the watercolor does. The back kicks up in this nice little tail, and then the front is kind of squared off. And then there is just to make this drawing even more interesting. She gets this triangle at the flower, and it's really kind of like, it almost looks like a crystal shape. It almost looks like the shape of a bouquet of flowers by itself. And then, in my opinion, what this whole piece is about, the magic of this piece, is this little triangle of skin that is in between the brim of the hat on the green hat, the bottom of the brim of the hat in the back, and then the top of the collar of our second sitter. And lo and behold, the theme of this jacket, collar, shoulder flap, backing, and then into the chair, that she just repeats it over again. She's extrapolating that from nature, emphasizing that this is what she's going for. So she has this collar here, then there's, instead of it being blocky, she offers us this S curve, and it's much longer. The flap of the jacket is much longer, and then it cuts in, and then the extension of the back into the backing of the chair, same top plane, bottom plane on that silhouette, and then the edge of her body runs down the inside of the chair backing to the point where I'm wondering if she added the chair backing on because she needed to continue the theme. So we get the right side. So we're going to get the top of the chair, we're going to get the back of the chair, and then we're going to get the arching connector, which we don't see the other side because the other side of the second chair is blocked by our first sitter. So this is kind of disappearing into the unknown, both of the chair backs. Oh. This is about the time where I get teary-eyed because it's so good. The first sitter has all this beautiful texture in the gridding of the pattern on the jacket. It's much lighter. The color is much bolder. It's yellow and orange. This bright green. The second sitter, with the exception of the pink notes of the flower and the skin, is completely toned down. So there's a hierarchy, visual hierarchy. There's no commentary on the nature of the girls. I don't think, you could, if you wanted to, make those implications. I just don't think that's what this is about. She's she's playing art games. She's not making, social commentary per se. And these art games are kind of the mark of, people that are creating for higher purposes on a higher level. Yeah, go back to get a freshie. Got a fresh pencil. It even matches the jacket a little bit. You can consider you know, the pattern on the jacket, you can consider them bracelet lines. And if you wanted to, you can even do some shading on the hat and on the jacket. Just trying to push this girl and these forms together. So unifying all the parts to the point where, like, you know, somebody looking at this picture may not even pick up on that, on the various themes that exist.
Is it too soon to say pufferfish?
No, I'm gonna make everybody draw the pufferfish, and you'll thank me. Oh, sorry, Bales. Was it in this one? I can't. The flowers are very beautiful to have on my desk. They're not particularly practical. Oh, man, today is going to be a good day. I actually have a tortillion, a real one. So the only thing that I'm trying to do with the blending stump here, I'm trying to pull together some of these forms of the sitter, of the second sitter, and then mainly so I can see the shapes of the skin and the flowers. So good. There's like these two little triangles. I live for those triangles. I suppose our green hat can have a little soft tone to it. I pull out some of the darks in the bob. And Gwen, also, whether it was watercolor or oil, she had the ability to let the little unpainted portion just sing. Like it's like she was so casual. Like you see these little openings, there's openings everywhere. Like I don't even know how she did it. It was almost like an arrogance to her execution that hides it. I don't know. I ran out of room, unfortunately, but you can see that there's another nice little triangle here which relates to the paper. And she's got this little piece.
Oh, did we lose him?
I did.
I lost him too.
Trevor, are you still there? Trevor, you're frozen.
We don't see you. We don't hear you.
Do you guys have that screen where it's asking you if you want tips?
No.
We must have lost Trevor.
What's happening?
Let me text him.
He might not know we're all gone.
Right.
Uh-oh, now
Maybe
it's echoing
I'll
again.
leave. Yeah, I just unmuted myself, that's why. Should we all leave and have him and join again?
Well, let's see if he replies to the text.
Am I back?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Hey.
What
Okay,
happened?
I didn't do much, but I did some. My battery died.
Flowers look beautiful from here.
They're so pretty.
though, I can no longer see the image. Do you have that visible?
Can't see it either.
Oh, that's not it. Screen share.
I don't have Trevor.
I know. What was that, Mary?
I don't have you on the screen and I don't have the image either. The screen is blank.
Yeah, now I lost all the people now.
That's what we got.
I have an image now.
Okay, there it is.
Can anybody else see me or not see me? I guess the question, because I can see everyone.
I can't see you.
No, I can't see you, but I can see the image.
I can see you, Trevor.
Okay. Well, Mary, I'm not as important, although the Okay, yeah, sorry about that. My battery died. I was up early and I was downstairs and I was actually had the Zoom going downstairs. No one was there, but and I forgot. Okay, so these are all coming through. All right, we're back in it. The last thing I was going to say, last thing I was doing, and then I was like, well, should I keep going? And is it recording still?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Fascinating. That is fascinating. Because it said that it wasn't recording. I got an email that said it wasn't, but I guess we're back in it. I wonder if all the banter was recorded. I hope it was. The panic. He's gone. I told Stacy that I died and the view from heaven was great.
Quit it.
Did you tell him?
No, because you came on
Before you could
before, yeah.
So you're going to heaven, huh?
Yeah. Aren't you?
Rini, are you?
It's not that hard to get into heaven.
It's debatable.
All you got to do is repent and have Jesus, and you're good to go.
Praise the Lord.
Okay, so the background, that's the other thing with color. I wonder if I can make this black and white. I don't want to spend all day on this. We have to draw the rose, and then we have to draw the other chair. The background's beautiful, beautifully painted. It's like this mauve, and it's essentially two-tone. So, and it's not two-tone. It's actually like three-tone in the sense that she allows in her watercolors these gaps. And Mal, you should like look at this. Like when you have, there's two types of paper in watercolor. There's cold pressed and there's hot press. And I'm 90% sure the hot press is really smooth. And then the cold press is it can be like unbelievably rough. Like it can be like stiff as a board, almost like it's like dried up plaster or something. And it gets really beautiful texture, and that's what I think.
The hot press is
Rough.
Because the cold presses that I have are pretty smooth.
Okay, yeah. So try some hot press. Try everything in between. And what it allows you is when you have like extreme peaks and valleys, when you use watercolor, you can just like oil, you can have like a dry brush technique or a super saturated. It can be wet and it can be dry. And she has a balance of her paint of water to pigment ratio, and the way that her brush applies to this particular type of paper that leaves this like speckle of paper that shows through all over the place. And you just kind of this jacket and the chairs are actually pretty opaque. This main sitter is pretty opaque in the sense that like there are speckles in the overpainting of the dark orange onto the bright orange. So it's not that it's without speckles. It's not it's without broken line, but it's not the raw paper that's showing through there. And the green hat is completely solid. Like there's no paper showing through there. But even in the higher contrast black hat, there are gaps in the paper and, of the paper showing through. And, that is just her look. It's like part of what makes it her style. And if you can learn to control that, it's very beautiful. And she does it the same with watercolor or oil. And I'm actually wondering if a lot of that her use of it in oil painting did derive from these watercolor techniques, and her just like enjoying that, that look, that kind of like sketchy, rough, unfinished, application. And when I was talking about the two-tone, I meant that there is looks like there's some wallpaper, and it even looks like could be a windowsill or a painting, like a framed painting in the background.
And it looks like a little table in front of them too.
Yeah.
Like a
in front of
desk.
that book.
Yeah, like a desk. Yeah, I agree. Or it could be a chair from another chair that's in front of them.
Yep.
I kind of ran out of room with my, with that left side of the picture, unfortunately.
Trevor, are these models that sat for this?
I think, see, this is what I don't know. They have a very, I mean, the models did sit. And let me show you a couple other ones. So this is an example of a model sitting. So that
Okay.
was one of those schoolgirls that came, and also just like this, we could get into this if you wanted to. I mean, it's so good. It's so good. This one is kind of cute. I could see this as being like a logo. I don't know about this. I don't know about that chin.
Yeah.
But not perfect. Watercolor is kind of like unforgiving. I love the geometry of the two-dimensional geometry of the hat, the little puff
The
ball.
hat is beautiful.
Yeah, and I suspect that this chair, and she's a little kid, where these girls could be, women, adults, or like teenagers or something. Like the way that they take to that chair, and the way this, this little girl takes to the chair is is interesting. But yeah, oh, it looks like these are at an angle. See how how the backing enters in, and then those lower ones are in the front. That one's in the back. This was the other one I was thinking about sketching. It's just like another game, just another theme and variation game. The bonnets and the costumes, and I guess this is probably an older woman, maybe a teacher or something, and then those are the two smaller kids. These kids look like they're standing where this person is sitting. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So you have 1, 2, 3 in terms of like the hierarchy. And like kind of like almost like the still life of cartoon. Look at the habit or whatever this cone thing is. That might be one of the nuns, actually, one of the teacher nuns. I don't know enough about it, but that's the thing. I mean, now I know more now, having done the drawing. Okay, so these are actually good, like very good. And speaking of good, I gotta show you these. The idea of theme and variation can be on this like kind of this artistic, subtle, like fine art level, and then the same ideas can be carried through, more superficial, and and these are this is like a hidden picture game that from highlights. You guys know that, that shit, that kids thing. So this is like the wonderful idea of theme and variation at work. So you've got this family of pufferfish, and you have this one big one, this medium-sized one, and the small one. What I was pointing out in my little lecture to the 7-year-olds yesterday is that what do they all have in common? Well, they've got fins at the top, and they've got fins at the side, and each fin has 3 little marks. So you have a circle, 3 fins at the top, 3 fins on the side, and there's 3 of them. Then they're all holding their breath because they're pufferfish, and they're apparently being attacked. The one kid doesn't seem to mind because his eyes are asleep. They've got 2 big eyes. These eyes are at the top, whereas these eyes are below center, where these eyes are closed. So they're all 3 made of circles. All 3 have the fins. They all have eyes, but the variation is that the eyes are a little bit different. Oop, these are lower. In terms of their orientation, 2 sets open, 1 set closed. And then the mouths are all different. So this guy's mouth up here, big puffy cheeks with a little circle for the mouth. This one down here, puffy cheeks, but you see the little angled beak on, you know, the pufferfish. And then the third one over here, puffy cheeks, but then a little straight line. Anyway, it's like, it's the artist understanding like that these ideas exist at every level of art making, and you know they're taking advantage of it. You know, in this illustration. Where was the next? These ones were really cute with the jellyfish, and then it was also a hidden picture image. So there's a fried egg on top of this octopus. They turned this jellyfish into an ice cream cone. Brilliant. This is the one I have not sketched, but I would like to. I just need to have another kids class. The seahorses. Small, medium, large again. All have curly tails. All seem to be moving. They all have spots, 4 spots. They all have bangs and ear fins. What are the variations? There's basically no variations. It's just the size, I guess. And then one of them has their eyes closed. The crabs, on the other hand, which I have not yet drawn either. That's a nice string. This guy's got a cowboy hat hidden inside of his shell. All the clams are the same. This looks like our escargot. But what is that? Oh, that's a hermit crab. Yes. That's not his own shell. He lives inside. That crab lives inside that somebody else's shell. All right, I won't make you draw it, I promise. Although it would be good if you did. Can we do a stop? Can we stop and can I see the do you guys need do you need like a minute to work on the hat?
I do.
Okay. I could use a little more time too. I'm just gonna keep it not so, I'll make it a little larger so you can see it, and you don't need to see what I'm doing. You guys saw everything I need to do. Well, there's the title. Ah, little girl in check coat with woman in black.
I don't think the one in black looks like a woman. I thought it was a man all along, or a boy.
Same.
Oh, I totally did not pick that up.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little, yeah, I thought I had like an older sister feel, but
I thought it was a brother. I don't know what I thought, but didn't think it was a girl.
that's okay.
Yeah, same. I don't know. Can you say that in this day and age?
Huh.
I don't know.
Mm. Yeah, so I guess the key takeaways for me is the play of the hats off one another. There's this Degas did a painting of just hats. It was almost like at a hat shop, and that was really that was also a really good example of theme and variation. I think there was a woman in the side holding the hat, almost like holding one as a presentation, as like almost like a salesperson. But all the hats, I think the picture has an overall green tinge to it. Hats are just like, they're a little lost. It's kind of like a little bit of a lost fashion element in today, but people made a lot of I think it was a good mode of artistic expression, personal expression, and also artistic expression. The hat. I do like, if you look at the base of this column, excuse me, the base of this brim of the hat, it kind of S curves into the underside of the collar on the other side. You know, the base of this flap, the base of this flap actually runs into the base of the other flap. I hadn't seen that. So mine luckily matched up that way. And then this plane change down here does not connect. So I think that's kind of a, that's kind of an interesting, you know, variation. So they do connect here, and then they're almost intentionally staggered, you know, because of the angle of this is staggered on that connection here. It might be too much. The shape of her hair, that's the other thing when we talk about sclera and the whites of the eye, how the whites of the eye in a portrait are never defined by itself, meaning the one side of the white of the eye is defined by the curve of the iris, and then the top and the bottom are expressed by the where the eyelid comes across it. And you know, that's what this little cheek here, I guess this is almost like her neck, maybe the moment where her neck starts to transition into her jaw. That form of the skin is not defined at any point by itself. It's by the collar, by the brim of the hat, and by the first sitter's hat. And it looks as though even the hair may have been intentionally coming up here, because if you follow the hair, there's a line there that was originally in the picture, and then that gets blended and, you know, morphed into the jacket. So that's definitely an ambiguous moment, a place where it's a little different. Yeah, that maybe even been a mistake, you could quote unquote, but we'll see. I think she came over with an opaque light highlight on the top of that chair too, which is a little, I mean, it might be a little much. All right, I'm not trying to. I was expecting this to go quickly. What did I say in the beginning? It was going to take 5 minutes. That's too good.
Excuse me, Trevor, are we to see your drawing?
I mean, that's where I am. I'm not really. I'm not intentional. I'm intentionally having it off screen so you guys can just
Okay.
have a minute to. What I am attempting is to tie together some of my tones. So I'm, you know, if like the wherever there's non-high level value, non-lights, like in her jacket, in the chair. I mean, look at the chair. Like this is, you could make this the white of the paper, you know, that one edge, but the rest of the arm of the chair, the backing and the legs of the chair, or whatever, the backing of the chair, that needs to have some kind of tone. I mean, the only place where it's super light is, you know, the triangle in her neck, the edge of the paper, which is actually painted white. That's lighter than that's lighter than the paper itself. You can make a case for the light value in the flower in her hair. So we have it a little bit easier than she did, but we have less to work with. When I say easier, we don't have to make color decisions, but we don't have to mix paint, but we do have to, you know, fill in the tones.
Hmm.
This is a really nice triangle down here that I neglected before. It's the bottom of her arm and then the edge of the chair. So this would be kind of the inside waist of her jacket. It's nice. It doesn't stand out as being loud, but it is, you know, a distinctly different. And when you're thinking of a piece that is now having, you know, shadows of, you know, shapes of triangles that are very important, like the triangle of the paper, the triangle of the skin, the triangle of the hat, and having this other triangle be, you know, very subdued but still in existence. It's not to be unseen. I'm just, you know, kind of traversing the picture and trying to pick up on things that I may have missed. There seems to be a dark band on the hat right here, you know, above the brim and parallel with the flower. You know,
I missed that entirely.
the darkest note of the hat. Yeah, the ambiguity of her. I mean, look how big this jacket may have come over. You know, when she was doing the initial drawing. Look at because this side you have the base of the flap, and then it comes up at this shoulder, and then it goes back down. You know, the edge of the deltoid. So this flap comes up here, and if you look through the paint, look through the brown paint, it comes up, and then it starts to turn the corner, right here. So this little peak here is not there. It's just it got painted over. It just got blended into the jacket. I mean, look at the whole profile of the jacket. This is the old silhouette.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
The jacket was much larger. We could do some recon. Wow. There it is. That's the and then her hair, we can just might as well add her hair on there too. It's kind of abrupt, but her hair did go up like this. Cool. I guess it should zoom out a little bit.
Can you move yours over just a tiny bit to the left, Trevor?
Is that helpful?
Please?
There.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm. I mean, it comes out unbelievably far. I kind of like it that way. Oh God, I almost rolled over my dog. Sorry, Bill. Had to get some fresh air. Okay, I am gonna stop. Let's see what everybody has. Are you in a position to do that, Rini? Can you do that? I might shore up my silhouette. Or not my silhouette, my rectangle. Okay, Let's see it. Rini, I'm gonna pin you. Let me stop the share.
Nice, Rini. Very nice.
I'm not yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
beautiful.
that's nice.
Yeah, and I really like how you work the table.
Oh, you put it back up. I just did it for the first time.
You're on
mute.
mute, Rini. That's
Yeah,
really,
that's like-
really nice.
Very, very Morisot. Doesn't that look like Bert Morisot?
Yes.
Incredible. This is what lovely, Maureen. I know you're on mute. Mary, can I see yours? I'm gonna pin you. Add pin. Replace pin.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah, can you?
Oh, I like what's
And
hanging on
you
the
even
wall.
did the title.
Very nice.
It looks great.
Oh,
Looks like they're in a doctor's office with something hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
A diploma. But those are your notes.
Right. Hmm. Yeah.
We should just do that. Just every composition have like a little wall hanging, and then if you need to have some notes, include it. Mal, can I see yours?
I actually didn't get to do it.
Oh, that's okay.
Work.
No worries. Grace, did you get to do it?
Yeah. Very small.
oh, sweet.
Nice, Grace.
Charming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like a little postage stamp.
Almost.
I'm sure he
Can't
needs,
seem to
I'm
drop
sure he
it.
needs a compliment by that.
Is it that size, Grace?
No,
It's
no,
bigger.
no.
It's bigger.
Right?
I'm just kidding.
See my
Oh, I can
hands.
see next to your
It's
hand.
small, but
That was not even meant to be an insult. I meant it was like worthy of a postage stamp. I mean, they do that. Like there's a big honor to get a postage stamp.
That's actually a pretty cute postage stamp.
Yeah.
Daisy, how about you?
Right. And I think it's public domain. Maybe I'll start that, a Gwen John postage stamp to honor her. Okay, Adele, I know that you might be the echo chamber, but if I could see yours, that would be great.
Echo. I don't see Adele anymore. Ah, she's trying to get back in. Is
No,
that maybe-
Adele is pinned.
Oh, do you still have echo now?
No?
Oh, I see you now. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Adele.
no echo.
Right. Well,
Echo,
John
echo.
helped me with some controls. So here's my.
Nice.
That is
Yeah,
so
so nice.
They're tall women.
Hmm.
I like that shoulder,
We
the upper shoulder.
honestly, I think we should just draw nothing but Gwen John. I think they're so nice. All of these are so good.
Very nice.
And like, what was everybody's like kind of impression of the piece when I put it up there?
I couldn't figure it out, actually. It was like an optical illusion. I couldn't see two people.
Really?
Oh,
Started
interesting.
drawing it. I wondered why this person with the black hat had this big oval thing.
Blob.
I couldn't, I couldn't see it. And
You should- yeah.
when we started drawing it, it separated into two people.
Wow, that's fascinating. Okay, yeah. What about you, Stace? You should usually have an immediate gut reaction.
Oh, I actually had really, quite frankly, had a neutral reaction
Oh,
when I
okay.
first saw this. Yeah, it was just neutral. I was drawn more to the hats than anything else. My eye went right to the hats.
Nice. Anybody else? have any-
Hats and
anything?
the collars really make it stand out as two women.
I still see it as, well, now that the flower is pointed out, I get it, but
I thought it was a man and a woman at first. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I think I have an idea. This should work. Are you guys up for doing a rose? I kind of made some promises.
Rose?
Yeah, should we?
Yeah.
Should we do a rose?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I promise we'll be done by 11. But I oftentimes, yes, we kind of have to do it because it's like time sensitive because I just don't ever really have these gorgeous things in front of me. And although Kristen did give me a green light because she gets annoyed if I spend too much money on flowers. I did get the green light to be able to buy white roses anytime I want. That was kind of a nice domestic win for me.
You should buy them at Trader Joe's, Trevor, because they're so cheap and they're so nice.
At Trader
yeah, well,
Joe's, I wouldn't think that.
They have the best flowers.
I
Huh.
haven't been to Trader Joe's in a really long time.
And they cost like $9 where they're normally like 30.
Yes, correct. That's a good hack. All right, so now I have to find a suitable background. Should be gray or black? Should be gray. Almost there, team. Almost. Aha. Yes. No. Okay, yes, it is happening. Check out my new scissors. I went to Sam's Club, got a whole new set of scissors. I used to boycott Sam's Club, and I always just be like, yeah, I used to boycott Sam's Club. And then I went to Sam's Club this week and I got a notice. They said, thank you for being a customer for 11 years. I was like, man, I sold out 11 years ago. There's just certain things about Sam's Club that you can't, as a small business owner, you just have to get it from there.
I would like to have seen Stephanie's. I like her interpretation of the work we do.
So I told Mary in the beginning, we're not going to have that post-war 1960s semi-abstract zeal in the class this morning.
Great minds.
Is that good? Should we try that? Are you guys up for that? Look how pretty it is. Is that shadow in the way? It's annoying. Aha. Oh God, that's good. Is it too scary? Not scary.
They're all scary.
Why don't you cover the pictures behind it with white paper?
Yes, that is the plan. Like that, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's better.
That is. So let me get myself a little bit more room to draw. Okay. So do you think we should start from the big leaves on the outside, or should we start from the middle and go middle and build out?
Well,
God
let
knows.
me interrupt just for a second. Now that you are perfectly set, can you stay set and be squared on the tan paper?
I don't think so.
Okay, then don't even
No,
try.
but no, now I think I can. It's so much better squared.
But you're not
Full
squared.
blown paper.
You're squared. You were squared.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and keep it off of that. Yeah. And that is actually squared for me. But I just don't have a whole lot. I don't have a whole lot to
No, you don't. You
place to
don't.
draw, but that's okay. I mean, I think it's better. I think it's better to have the image bigger, since there's no way of doing this otherwise. All right. Well, we're gonna have to figure out what's so good about a rose. They smell good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the best part, I think what we'll have to do is, it's not going to be as hard as you think. Everything seems like super overwhelming at this point, just because we're faced with like the gravity and the symbolism and the variations. But they're white roses. We sketch in graphite. So really, what we have to do is like subdivide the picture into its component parts, and it's going to have a spiral, but what I'm thinking is that there's going to be 3 major zones. The first major zone is going to be from the very center. Do you see how you get this like logarithmic spiral? You can actually see the spiral at the very, very middle, and then it spirals out, and it looks like it's a little wonky in how it spirals out. But then I'm just going to claim right here, everything that's inside this zone right here. See where it's almost like that inner glow? It's like that very khaki. It's not even like a rose color. It's like an orange. See that little orange glow in there?
Mm-hmm.
All those deep shadows. This is going to be like the inner. This is going to be the middle, the center composition. So that's like the kind of the zone 1. Okay, and then zone 2 is really almost like seeing the cylindrical nature of that inner portion. So this is like the mouth of the glass, the mouth of the cup. And yes, we get some inner spirals in there, like the coffee in the cup. But then we're going to get the side of that cup, and we're going to get this side, and then this side. You see how there's these? You're actually getting the side of the bud for the most part. So you have the inside of the cup, and then we're going to have the side of the cup, inside and then side, and then from there we're going to build these almost like tongue-shaped arches, which, you know, if you think about the what's that great concert hall in Sydney, Australia?
I knew you were going to say that.
Modern. It's that modern.
The
I mean,
Sydney
some people
Opera
think it's
House.
beautiful. I think it's beautiful. Some people freaking hate it. Anyway, it's the Sydney. I guess it's the Sydney Opera House or something like
Opera
that.
House,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. These arches coming to a point, that particular leaf is beautiful. And then we're gonna find those, the leaves have those components. So there's like this arch which comes to a fold, and then that goes down there, and then there's this one. This one actually has multiple. So 1, 2, 3. I think for the most part they really have. This one is starting to wilt. That's the reason that is there. I could pop that off actually. Anyway, there's going to be essentially midtones. The whole thing, which is why I wanted to do this in the first place, is that the whole thing is going to be lights, like the light of the paper, and then soft midtones. There are so few moments where it goes dark. And the reason this is so helpful relative to the Gwen John is because that's what Gwen John's entire composition is. Her whole range of values are on the higher end of the spectrum. And it's just nice to see nature reflected. I guess I'm appreciating these flowers more having done the piece we did last week. That's what it comes down to. And if you think about it in these terms, I mean, it's getting, the hard part I think is going to be getting from one zone into the other zone and keeping, keeping the petals kind of in, in order. But just let me clear it, because I'm already seeing it clearer. So we have the inner portion, which we're going to tackle all of those, which is kind of, it's like a little chaos. And then we have the side of the bud, which is this bud, this leaf on the side, and then these two leaves. See these two leaves that go from here and they're spiraling out. Then we get a stack of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and then we get a go of 1, 2, 3, and then there's this random one on this side. So it's not, there's not that many leaves. There's the inner spiral, there's the leaves that represent the side of the bud, and then they have the framing leaf petals, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then this last one. I think it's all very doable. Shall we try? And hopefully I can put my money where my mouth is. All right, so here's my inner zone. And then inside of this is going to be the spiral. So I'm just getting oriented in that direction. Then I need the side of the bud. And this side of the bud, this one is the one that's like very, very visible to me. So I did these three. The first one came on the side. One, and then I did 1 boomerang, 2 boomerangs. And then I need to get these 3. So 1, 2, 3 going back. One. One, 2, 3. Oh, that's so good. All right, so I got 1, 2, 3. That's easy. I did the center bud, which is going to be, probably hard, but maybe generalized. So I'm picking up a theme of 3. So the side of the bud, 2 boomerangs, the Sydney Opera House, 1, 2, 3 heading back. The base of the bottom, we got 1, 2, 3 coming out towards us. So let's do the first one. There's our first one. And then we'll do the second one, the inner part, then the outer part. And then we'll do the last one, 2, 3, A, B, C. And then this last guy, this random dude who's out here, he's like one big trapezoid. I'll call him R for rogue. All right, so whew. I feel like Georgia O'Keeffe.
Yeah.
All of this line work, we're going to have to determine whether the line belongs to the petal or whether it belongs to the metal. No, I'm just kidding. Whether it belongs to the petal or whether it belongs to the one that's the petal or the background. So once you have each petal, or in this case, like a person set up, then you have to adjust, change them accordingly. And by drawing each petal, you will correct it. So I'm going to start with the big ones because they're the ones that I can think through. I'm going to start with A, B, and C, and then 1, 2, 3, and then we'll add the rogue at the end. So this petal, A petal, is dark on the outside. It wraps in. And the inner moment of this petal is actually, I'd say it's like this dark gully. That's one of the darkest parts of our whole thing. In fact, it's so dark that I probably shouldn't even sketch it, because I want to save those darks till the very end. There's a sea of these value variations. I can't believe how dark that the overall petal of A is.
Yeah.
And then where A is really, the moment where it becomes, part of the show is where it is a light up against the kind of the trough of the tongue of B. So B is going to have the dark concavity, and that B allows the boomerang of the the first row of buds, of bud petals. The lines are definitely frustrating because you want to think about lines not as lines but as edges, and then as soon as the line disappears into being, the line ceases to exist, it becomes an edge. Then the lights and the darks matter. So what you saw up here, I had this beautiful edge of B. And it wasn't an edge at that point, it was a line. It was a line. In fact, this line of the top of B is in the process of being translated into an edge. So an edge is when one object comes against another object. So the edge of B comes up to the edge of the background, which is this khaki color. The other side of B is still currently a line. And it's going to be great because part of that line is going to be blended into the background. Part of that line gets blended into the petal behind it. And then the thinnest part of the B, as B curls over, it almost remains a line because the shadow is so thin. But it is in fact blended into the petal itself. Oh. It's subtle, but it's beautiful. So the nice thing about having managed the B petal is that the C petal is kind of a repeat of it, just a little bit larger because it's more, it's older, if you want to call it that. The petals to the outside have had longer time to grow. They're bigger. They're closest to the, to the green casing, the sheath that protected all the petals as it was a bud. So, I mean, I don't know if that's so interesting. I don't know if it's technically older or whether it's just it's the same age, it's just been developing longer. Because are these petals that have not yet unfurrowed, are they, are they just more, they are in existence, they're just kind of dormant. So there's a progression in the life cycle of these petals that internally have various stages of development. That's beautiful. So maybe if we even think about the delicacy of the petals, or the like, how can we as artists treat the petals that are closer to the center in a, like, almost like a silkier, less textured, like a smoother, they're more fragile because they've been exposed less. These petals are, you can actually see some of the bumps, and the way these ends have, like, the tips have kind of dried up a little bit, but like in the middle, they're super fresh. So that might be an interesting artistic challenge, is as we're rendering these petals, have the softness and the delicateness of the material match the center and the delicateness of the petals that are internal, versus a little bit of a rougher and a little bit more varied treatment when we get to the outside. I don't even know if that's possible. I think it is. Nope. So the background of C gets turned into an edge by blending it into the petal, becomes a light up against the dark. And that is true for the top, for the top half of it. The bottom half, the petal turns over itself and turns away from the light source, becoming a dark petal up against a light khaki background. So this top half, the edge of the petal is light up against the dark edge of the ground. Nice. Internal edges, we have, we could start from, if we did A, B, and C, now we can do 1, 2, 3. There is this connecting point where 1, slips in between B and C. Which is neat. And the second boomerang, which is kind of not causing any trouble, but it's, if we want the edge of 1 to be light, we have to do the underside of the third boomerang, the second boomerang, the third petal outside of the bud. Oh wow, that's great. The C petal comes in and actually goes behind into a cast shadow. Look how wonderful that is right here. So the first number 1 comes in front and blocks the light from hitting the last little edge of C. So there's this little happening that's in between, this little gutter, this deep gutter in between 1 and C. And we'll do this cast shadow on the bottom half of the C. Nice. So the number 1 petal is pretty light all the way through. There's a little interesting section where the 1 passes behind A and adds one part of, there's a little bend in A. So A is throwing a shadow onto, 1 is throwing a shadow onto 2. And there's the deep gully of 2. And then of course 2 throws its just magnificent shadow onto 3. And then there's a deep gully in between 2 and 3. Do you think this is for like the advanced class? And then withhold the temptation. It's almost like because we've had to be, well, I consider pretty subtle, and I'm clunky as anything, but I've been pretty easy going on the darkness of the shadows, trying not to go too dark, intentionally trying not to go too dark. And then all of a sudden you look and you're like, look at that shadow. There's a dark shadow. You know, the flower throws this really wonderful shadow onto the khaki paper. And it's like, just because you can go dark and just because nature goes dark doesn't mean that you should. So I'm going to use some these like, you know, parallel lines here to lay some pigment in, kind of, you know, echo the direction of the shadow being thrown, you know, meaning like you can't draw light necessarily, you have to draw the appearance of light. And you know, the way that the light, the angle of the light coming onto this flower, throwing that shadow is in the direction of the marks that I'm making. So yesterday I was drawing with these kids. We drew it was amazing actually. It was random, but it was incredible. We needed to draw the unseen. So we had a megaphone, like a conical megaphone that you would bring to like a sporting event in the 1920s or a protest or something. And then you'd yell through the megaphone, and we used these streaky lines to indicate, you know, the sound waves. And then there was a flashlight, and we drew the flashlight in its cone and its, you know, 2-dimensional shapes. And then we used these rays, you know, these streaky lines to represent the light coming out of it. And then, which is one form. And then there was what was it? It was a cup of gravy. It was like a gravy boat. And so it was like, we wanted to make the gravy feel like it was hot gravy. So then we drew these S curves, which represented the temperature of the, you know, the gravy. So all these things that were, that actually don't have, you know, visible forms themselves. How do you indicate them in drawing? I think is like is an interesting way of thinking about mark making, when usually we're talking about mark making as it relates to the actual physical objects. And it's a deep shadow. Oh God, I started this whole shadow by saying don't make that too dark, and now I'm doing a second round before I even see how the first round went. Someday, I think Bic Pencil will probably pay me to sketch with their pencils, and it will be legitimate. Like I will never endorse a product that I do not use myself, but they do have this beautiful ability to you know, their materials and how they function internally. Like they blend so nicely. They make decisive marks. The pencils stay sharp the way they should. And then on top of it, the erasers that come with the pencil are perfectly calibrated for that particular Bic pencil. So they erase so well. And you can draw, I mean, you can draw with the pencil. Look at these little hatch marks in here. I want to diffuse the edge of that shadow. I want to get maybe just a nicer, higher contrast edge right against that creating that dark edge from the line. It's an interesting way of using the words, but I really am going to try to be more deliberate about when I say an edge. An edge is when there's one value up against another value, or one form up against another form. A line is when you use a pencil to delineate a separation between two things. And those lines become edges. Wonderful. All right, so I'm almost getting, I wanted to start with the larger petals on the outside to get a feeling for what will be required. Look at this wonderful moment. I wanted to come in and do this rogue. So the edge of A, the very tip of it is light. And there's a lost and found, almost a lost and found moment. You have the top of R, the rogue, which is light, and of course the line for rogue will be blended into the background on the top, and then the line for rogue will be blended into the petal at the bottom. But look at this moment right here, where the edge of A is clearly dark up against the light of 2. So A comes up, and then there's the value switch where the shadow of the rogue becomes dark enough to allow the light of A to pop off and separate. And you could almost make a case for this moment right here where there's no line and there's no value separation between petals there. And it's almost at a conjunction of 3 petals. So it's the dark trough and the inner shadow of the trough of R that allows the edge of 1 to be light on that top side. And by doing these bigger petals, you can the inner petals become easier because they become like more abbreviated. Boomerang. So we're going to go from the I guess I'll just finish the rogue. Blend that beautiful edge, a beautiful line into the edge of that petal. Blend the line of the rogue into the background. When you're working on white paper, you have a dark edge up here. The paper has to be present. I mean, you can't have all of the paper, even if it's the paper in the light, has to be addressed somewhat. And Mal, if you're doing an actual watercolor, it can be like the thinnest, most delicate wash. But the reason, and you don't have to, but the reason you want to have the whole rectangle addressed with some kind of value is so that you reserve the white of the paper, the light of the paper for your petals. You're basically trying to make your petals be the main event and not the background. One of these days, on my Tuesday night class, I wound up actually doing a painting on Zoom. And I think I might, and the only reason I've never done it is because I've never had this format. So there's a chance that I might attempt to, because I paint so quickly, and I paint almost as quickly as I draw. So you might as well, I might go into the school and teach one of these lessons where you guys can draw, and then then I can paint, and you can see that the thinking is exactly the same. I mean, the only thing is that you get to A, you get to mix the color, and B, you get to, you know, make fun textures. It's like, and I actually have a baker, like a baker in my class, and she took to painting so well because I gave her the green light, and I didn't even know she was a baker at the time. She was like, I was like, it's just like, you know, icing a cake. And she was like, I'm a baker. I know how to do that. I'm like, yeah, do that. It's just paint. So that the concept translated really well, and it's true. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna get all the way into the inside until I can't go anymore. So I've got my boomerang 1 is a light up against boomerang 2. Boomerang 2 is a light up against the side plane of the bud. And the side plane of the bud, I can't go too dark because you got the inner trough. And you know, this is a point where honestly, if you were sketching with just a tortillon, or if you went kind of small, you could load a little section of the paper up here with your, and then just, you could use it almost like you'd make it like a graphite palette. And you could just like grab some graphite rather than applying with a pencil, you know, actually draw with the tortillon value. I think the spiral is the most important, so I'm going to start there, and whatever I can conform into the middle with these like really generic, you know, set like crescent moon shapes. And I'm not copping out. It's just I can't go any smaller with my pencil. I'm looking for the shadow shapes. I love the idea of the that crescent moon idea. You know, all kind of you know, piling into the, you know, the inner spiral, and then unfurrowing out. And if the marks inside that little inner bud can follow that spirit of the either spiraling into the center or unfurrowing, unwrapping from that center out. And you know, you can observe like edges, delicate edges, little spiral wiggles. And then, you know, further emphasize some of the deepest, you know, the darkest lines. Put some pop. But it does, when you accumulate all of these attempts and all of these failures, it ultimately turns into one big success. And you know, trying with each one of these petals, and you know, even if you got a 60, if you graded yourself and gave yourself a 60 on each one, collectively that 60 adds up, and you know, it should be, you know, it'll be something that, well, it will generate enormous pleasure for the viewer, and a wow factor. Because even a 60, your level of perception and your level of execution, a 60 for you is beyond what another person can fathom who's never sketched it. And as long as you cross that threshold of, you know, the beyond what a normal brain can process on first glance, you know, you move into the mystery of art. So it's a great place to be. And when you're in it, you know, it's hard to understand other people's understanding of it, or lack of understanding of it. And that's a blessing and a curse. Oh, wow. I never even did the last one. The 3 down here, 1, 2, 3. There's this fantastic reflected light, and I don't even know, you can see it here. I don't even know what it's being reflected off of. Maybe it's like me. I think I might be reflecting, or it could be on the paper too. No. See how yeah, it might be a really dull glow from the rest of the room. But this petal, number 3 at the very bottom, is a light up against that dark shadow. So it goes from the cast shadow into the light mass of that edge of the petal, and it's a beautiful straight line. And then it curls over itself. And as it curls away, it turns into a shadow mass. But then there's a light source, a secondary light source, a faint secondary light source from the naturally lit room bouncing off of what's behind me up into this underside, making the petal, the edge of the petal, a light up against the dark. And that's just art gold. Art gold.
You okay?
Sounds like my agent.
He always, he's like woofing in his sleep,
Your puppy, he's dreaming.
snoring his head off.
No snoring. I love it when the dogs dream. I just like, all I see is, I know it's in their head, and it's like, carrots and the neighbor's dog.
Bones. Yeah.
Wow. I feel really lucky.
It's beautiful.
Thanks. And when you go back, now that we have like our regions established, there's this, you go back, you can just like go back and like elevate it, like there's this little lip on the side plane which I may have underestimated that pops up. I can give this lip a little bit of this edge right here is like a little pop that like helped so much. And then that was a shadow on itself, and then the background comes in here. So if you can see these beautiful S curves, you can see the straight lines, especially. Don't underestimate the straight lines and these deep, these kind of cracks in here. What was the other thing that I was missing out on? Oh yeah, the number 2, or number B, the letter B, A, B. This B passes. It's the B. It folds over itself right here. So, and it is. I mean, I'm not saying it's not hard to keep it straight. It is. But the B folds over itself a little bit here. So it's a dark edge up against the light glow of its own self. Yeah, and I was talking about those textures. Maybe I put in a couple dots. That maybe just a couple tension lines in the corners where they're starting to wilt, and maybe a couple specks along that edge. That might be all you need. A couple dots on these outer petals to make them feel. It's not so much to make them look rougher. It's to make the inner folds feel smoother and softer and more delicate. And I'm still a little bit rough, I think, at the very center of the spiral. So you're creating a mark-making contrast and a technique contrast because of the natural contrast that's existing within the flower. And that's also when you're able to have that ability, that control over your materials, to make your materials, the nature of your materials, employ the nature of your materials to mimic the natural nature, like the nature of your subject. I think that's what mastery is. because you have to master both things simultaneously, your knowledge of the subject, the knowledge, the way your own perception and your own mind works, and then also the materials and the techniques themselves. It is a tall order, but also very manageable with a little bit of intention. I'm noticing number 2 is just much larger in terms of the ratio of, compared to the Rogue, and to how far it comes up on the first pedal. And thank you, Bic Pencil, for having such a beautiful eraser. So you the psychology of drawing, when you're sitting here and you're like, well, you make the lines as if you're never going to change them, but then you also at the same time you make the lines knowing that you can if you need to, and you should be at perfect ease. And the intimidating thing, and I was mentioning this to my painting class on Tuesday night, is oil paint, when you realize that it's the most forgiving medium of paint, it's almost like you have to make somebody paint a fresco. You have to make someone plaster a whole wall and let it dry just enough so they can scrape into it to make the drawing, and then paint the painting on it, and with no mistakes, because 6 hours later the plaster will be dry, and then if there's anything wrong you have to chip it away and then replaster it again. Whereas that's like the original, that was how the painters painted. I mean, it was like a high stakes kind of like, you don't mess up type of endeavor. Whereas oil paint, the Venetians, it's like, well, you don't like it? Well, we'll just paint over it again. And, it becomes like a, not a recitation, like a theater performance where you memorize everything and you act it out within a 2-hour window, versus writing an essay where you get to write and do a rewrite and a rewrite and a rewrite and a rewrite. Oil painting is easy in that it allows you the rewrite, and at the end it looks as though you painted it as if it were a single recitation. There's a little bit of it, it's a little deceiving in that way. Not a little deceiving, and totally it's not a deception, it's just misconception. People's understanding of oil painting is not what it is.
Welcome back to the world of the living. Hello. Hello.
All right, so we have a half hour. I think we should, if it's okay with you all, it's not, we have I do like a 3-minute warning on this guy, and then maybe and then we can switch over, and if you guys have the steam, go into Gwen again.
Yeah.
I might remove my notations of the naming of the petals. And I got up late this morning. I apologize. I had meant to get up early and read over my Gwen John journals and pull out some highlights, but maybe I'll do that this week. I'll pull out I'll photograph some of her really wonderful statements on art that I had referenced, earlier in these classes, and I'll send them to you, particularly about the, how these pictures need to be created kind of within a single sitting. But again, this is a woman who's been spending her entire life dedicated to her craft, that she has the ability to do it in a single sitting, and it took her until 40 years old to get there. But still, I think it's important to see. Oh, yeah. And if you're gonna make a mistake on making like a petal like bigger and bolder and like more beautiful, I would lean towards that. You don't want to. I just like this. My number 3 was so much bigger, and I don't know what I was thinking. Like bigger white beautiful petals, the better.
His face is right by your back chair leg. It's on your back chair. Okay, I'll be careful.
And not for this group, but I think in general, when I start releasing the videos of previous classes for the kids classes, I mean, I'm not saying you guys should do this, or I'm saying you should do this. I think you should go in and watch them, and it might not be your thing, but I mean, I draw them all week, and I say and have really incredible insights into art in general with the kids classes, and we'll release them on the YouTube or whatever. And I have a millennial, actually Gen Z interns coming in, and they're all incredibly not even talented, they're just capable of managing media at that level. And so we're going to get those out. But even on you should watch them, and on a just if you feel like sketching one day and you want something on the that's like not as overwhelming or as intimidating as a white rose, I recommend a one-off here and there.
Yeah, great idea.
I think Stacy can attest to some of that.
I think she could, indeed.
All right, 2 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
You can do it, Stace. I believe in you.
No, I had to step out with my dog.
Good boy, Tucker.
Yeah, I'll get back to this.
Oh, there's a little nick in there. Does anybody want to show?
Ouch. I know, everybody all at once.
Have to put this on the we still have the dogwood. Oh, did I do the dogwood in this class?
Yeah.
Yeah, we still have the dogwood on our refrigerator. Makes me happy. Might have to replace it with the rose.
Is a rose is a rose.
Oh yeah, I think this is this is art poetry for sure.
I
can show my postage stamp.
Let's see it.
It is
We're gonna start. We're gonna,
tiny little thing.
Look at this. We got it. We got the goods. Hold on. Stop.
Nice and still, nice and still, Grace. Oh, that is lovely,
Add pin. Oh, no, replace pin.
lovely.
Sorry, Grace. I didn't get to see it. I was worrying about the pin. That's a beaut. That's a beaut. Thank you. Adele, how'd you do? I had you pinned before. Replace pin. There it is.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that shadow under.
Mhm.
You
Yep.
could hold that a little bit, there you go, and freeze it.
Very nice value ranges. I'd love to see pictures of these.
Beautiful.
I don't know why, but I could see that in a circular frame or like just in a circle. It's evolving in that direction naturally. Mary, did you get to draw it?
Yes, I did.
Ah, large, beautiful.
Mm.
Can you
Wow.
hold that a little bit further away and freeze it?
That's stunning.
Very nice.
Thank you.
All right, Stace, you're up.
Hmm.
Do it.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, well, I started it and then I'm gonna go in and color, believe it or not.
Oh, nice.
Thanks. I had to take care of the dog.
Oh my gosh, the
So-
color looks gorgeous in
I
there.
like yours
A
better.
lot of info.
Yeah, like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, Rini, you're up. You're next on the thing.
Oh, I don't know. I had to take a phone call too, so I kind
Oh,
Oh, nice.
freeze that, Rini.
A little closer. Yeah, a little out of focus. That's fine. Oh, yeah, you got that nice spiral.
Yeah, in the center. That was
Yeah, if you turn it
beautiful.
sideways, it's like it could be an eye. Like the eye of Taurus.
Yeah, I like the center of that.
Mal, you're
Mal,
I think Mal
Mallory,
ran away.
Mallory, you just went away. Come back.
Mallory's here.
Come back, wherever you are.
Did you get the rose or you didn't get to do it?
I'll bet she did.
She's muted.
Oh, that's okay. You're still muted. Oh,
Ah,
you did it.
Oh,
Mallory.
Nice.
That's so gorgeous.
hold that a little bit now. Bring that back up. And a little closer to away from the screen.
Ooh, I
And
like
freeze.
that. I like
that's
that.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's lovely.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Lovely.
Work is really getting into my
Cut it into it. Yeah.
That's
Don't
all
do it,
right.
man. Retire. I say retire.
Trevor, can I see yours again, please?
Yeah, I'll put the share up there.
It's beautiful. Can you move everything left just a tiny bit?
Oh, maybe I should move the camera.
The other left. There you go. Perfect.
It's a little more.
And if you can take your
I
cursor
might take a picture of that.
off the screen.
Oh God, yeah. I forget sometimes you guys can see that. I think with the cursor. Did you guys? I don't know if you noticed that, but when they have a thing where they can follow your eye. It can follow your retina, and it can guide around already. But I do it now.
Wow.
All right, let's come back into it. Do we need like a break or something? Do you guys want to take like 2 minutes, or I think we should just get into it. I don't know. We don't have a lot of time, but we'll do a lot. I promise. Yes, indeedy.
Yeah, I really struggled with that chair. I bet I drew it 3 times.
No way.
Yeah,
For reals?
I finally finished it, but my chair seems like it's tipping back, you know?
Tippy tippy.
That's so funny because mine feels like it's tipping forward.
My chair's tipping too far back. My chair's tipping too far forward.
Somebody's been sitting in my chair.
Yep.
Yeah. That is level. All right, so then what do you want to do? Should we do the
Let's just draw that chair.
let's do the wedge first. So I think it'll be kind of I don't mean easy. I don't know why I keep saying that. I feel bad when I say that, but it's gonna be there's like the larger, broader shapes, and there are different things to consider. So I think it might be a worthwhile. Oh,
Less mind draining.
yeah, it's not going to be a bad spot to begin to getting back into the picture. I guess that's the thing. It's about re-entry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Not a bit. Whenever I hoochie in my roller chair, I rolled over my dog's ear one time and he yelled so loud.
No.
I suspected he didn't believe in anything.
God.
But it's a Cocker Spaniel. He's got like the ears are longer than my socks. My boot socks. I just have to find my drawings we got last week. Oh, here it is. Oh, the next masterpiece. All right, so here, this is that's just to see where we are here. I mean, that table was delightful. I think it was really technical, but I loved this the way that she negotiated the left legs to this combination of right leg. And the kind of the weird variation that she had along the floor, and the way that the where the painting is really, like, in my opinion, like the really the delicate handling of the sheer curtains was awesome. And like, I mean, and you can see the way that the curtain meets the floor, and that subtle edge and the pouring out. It was just really wonderful. She had a thing where she said that she got sick when every time she went to Paris, she said she got sick. And her journal, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. But this doesn't seem like the painting of a sick person. So I was like, I don't think it applies to this piece. But I think it's just Paris is just I mean, it's a dirty city now. And it was still pretty, Paris is not the nicest city. I mean, it is great in some areas, but it's still pretty dirty.
Yeah, agree.
All right, so let's get let me move this down. Oh, I can't move it down because that blasted shadow. Okay, I did do it. I managed to get it. And then I'm going to use my new scissors. Okay, we got this. I gotta get my orientation here. All right, so we got these windows. This edge is really important. And then my original triangle, look how different my triangle is. The yellow triangle comes down below the table and then it angles up. That's so funny. It's just like so blind. All right, so we've got from that contact point, it looks like the wall juts out even a little bit at this corner. It looks like okay, that's good. And then what were you calling it? What is this, Maureen?
What do you mean with the corner?
Yeah, what is this wall thing?
Oh, a chair rail.
Chair rail. All right, so there's the chair rail relative to the table. And I got my triangle relative to my vertical wall where the window frame, the painted plaster meets the yellow wallpaper wall. Looks like I'm going to need to come out here. Now, in terms of the how we're going to build this chair, and I know I have to get something blocked in, or else I just don't feel confident going into the background, even in a re-entry basis. So I have there's something going on beyond this chair that I'm not sure of. So we have to get the legs of the chair in, and this point, look at the point where the table hits and then where the chair hits the ground. There's an enormous amount of wiggle room. When I say wiggle room, I mean it's ambiguous as anything, where the actual contact points are. But we're going to attempt to build a 4 points on the ground that the that the legs connect from, and then we can build out from the contact points on the floor. So you can follow this plumb shadow. You follow the angle of the shadow. That's not the angle of the from foot to foot. So when you're doing figure drawing, one of the most important things to do is to get the angle from the center of one foot to the center of the other, and that's how you can tell one's forward and one's back. The leg here sweeps up, and then it's going to sweep up on this side as well. And you can, this actually becomes a plane. Now this is not level. So where the leg meets the, basically the seat of the chair, this very low seat of the chair, that's still not level. I don't think the level will happen until probably the back of the chair, if at all. And that's, hidden as well. So let's see. The front opening that we have here is wider than the back. So let's build. We have the known right now, and I feel actually pretty good about the known, and its relationship to my table. My chair might be big, my chair might be small, but it's okay. I have the nubs on the ground, and then about a third of the way up, you get the wicker support structure for the front. The cross beam for our chair is partially hidden by the cushion, but it does have a thickness. And the leg, the thing that I really love about the chair is that the leg sweeps up and it turns into the front of the arm. So there is like this horizontal band where the seat happens, but then that it's the same pieces of wood that curve up into the arm. And when I see the top of the chair being relative to the where the kind of the leg starts, like not the drawer, but like where the molding on the leg begins, I'm feeling pretty good. I dropped down into the left when I was trying to place the leg of my table down to the leg of my chair. The chair is all movable. You can move it all around, but you got to see what you see. And where she's hiding some of her, either her failures or her mischief, mischief meaning her deviations for the sake of the picture, so the viewer doesn't notice the abnormality. That's mischief. Or failure meaning she just it was like, I this isn't right, I need to hide it. And both are justifiable. I tend to think that if it's Gwen, she's probably up to mischief and not failing. Anyway, so this whole front of it, there's the sweeping, which feels like it's at an angle. The legs are at an angle, and then where the wrapping of the seat of the chair, this block of the seat of the chair, I'm employing my X-ray vision here, looking through the blue blouse, which is either sheer, or I was thinking may actually have a pattern on it itself that would be similar to the wicker, or she put the pattern on there to have a more harmonious relationship between the fabric and the nature of the chair. Both, we'll figure that one out as we go. So the arm goes up a little bit taller, and then where from corner to corner, there's a steep dip from the contact point of the back leg to the front leg, steep dip. Also another dip from where the seat of the chair comes across, and cross beams, and then it still exists, a dip from, meaning the right side of the arm is higher than the left side of the arm, and this is where it turns the corner. Think about the chair we drew this morning. there's going to be a front plane, and then a top plane, and then a side plane. Even like that little cube that exists right before we get into that fabric, it's important because the fabric echoes that same movement. So you have the side of the fabric, and then it comes across the top, and then it's going down the side. So it's an opportunity for repeat. So you have the fabric itself helps to define the side, the top, and then how it falls over the edge there. Great. Fabric, we can fall down. I'm just making a generic shape. I'm really desperately trying to find the back legs. And so I was talking in the beginning, the front legs are wide, the back legs are narrow. So if you were to look at a floor plan of the legs, the back legs here, front legs there. Okay, so the cushion has got to be designed like this. So it's narrow in the back, wide in the front. That would be the cushion. And then the seat of the back of the chair goes that way. I may have been making this a little extreme, but that's the reason possibly that the way that the position of this back foot coming up and over, and then that angling, the back legs, you can triangulate. So you get the two front, which we'll say are fixed, and then you build like an imaginary triangle between the back leg here, and then you come across and you see the other leg, so you can triangulate the back leg as well. So here to here, that's that foot, and then this comes across. So if you were to look at the imaginary trapezoid, it's not a square, it's a trapezoid, wider in the front, narrow in the back, angled sides. When you see that, in perspective, that the geometry of the chair makes sense. So let's do the back right leg first, because you can see more of it. Yes, a lot of it is blocked from the cushion, but it's not as blocked. You get more. It's a clear directional angle from the structure of the back leg into the backing of the chair, where all of that is ambiguous from this back corner through the blue, through the umbrella, and on this end we're seeing the structural side. We're also seeing a little bit of the back of the chair. So let's bring that up over here. Shoot up. Beautiful arch. And then on this corner, I'm trying to make it relative to what is previously known. So this corner looks like it lines up roughly with the middle of these flowers. So if I were to draw a horizontal across, that's where the elbow of the chair goes. And I did suspect that when I was starting this, that I would need more real estate. I almost cut the edge of my paper off. I was like, got my scissors out and everything. But then as I started drawing my triangle, I'm like, I'm gonna need it. So I think I might even erase this line, because I know it's gonna be extended, because having this line here assumes that that's the edge of the rectangle, and it's not. It's and you can tell it's not because of how big I made my chair, or the position of my chair. There's my chair at the table. So we're going to do this leg up here. We're going to do this leg on that side, and then we're going to do the backing, and then we can pull over find the angle of the umbrella. Oh God, she's so good. She is so good. I hope she meets me someday. Okay. We'll go back. Goes up. Oh, wow. All right. So the elbow of the arm comes back and hits our, the back corner structure that goes the leg all the way up the side of the arm. And I can have that come across. And that's going to help me, that line is going to gently disappear behind the blue. But I'm not going to lay the fabric down yet. And then this comes up into this corner, and then look at this triangle. Holy crap. It's almost like a webbing. It looks like the webbing of a thumb. This is like the forefinger, and then this is the thumb sticking out, and this is the webbing in between. that probably helps these larger wicker layers. That I want to do. I don't want to do the crisscross yet. I'm still doing structure beams. The structure beam from the wrapping in the front going to the back is all hidden because you have the thickness of this well-used cushion. The cushion cuts across. The cushion is going to be wider up here, puffier here, and then it dips down. And you can see the wrinkles. And it's going to be a little bit thicker on that side. Somebody's been sitting in it. So there's Gwen butt cheeks in there. She's sipping her tea, looking out the window, wondering where the hell her brother is. So that goes in here. So what we do on the right, we have to do on the left. And that's why I really wanted to draw this side first, because it's going to help us see through the fabric and the umbrella on that side. So we come up, the chair comes back, and then part of what made this whole left side awkward. Let's do the structure of the leg. Comes up into that corner, and now there's webbing on this side, so we have to include the webbing. And that webbing is part of what makes that thick. And then I suspect that it actually that's the webbing. Then there's the structure of the side, and then there's the backing, like the thickness of the weave of that chair of the the wicker siding. You can actually see it's kind of woven down the side there. The thicker top side also starts to be thick, but then gets thin in that corner. This comes up. I made it first too low, I think. I think the arm sweeps up here and then comes across. So I'm gonna make that a little bit higher. And then my next set of horizontals is at the it's probably halfway between where the structure crossbeam and the arm go back, but it looks like it's not as high because the cushion is taking up some of that space. So that comes across here. X direction, Y direction. There's on that wicker backing. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a little one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could get really into the exact nature of these, but consider this phase almost like the petals. You just gotta get something in there. Like this is the layers of these crisscrosses, and it's gonna get even harder because these are light marks up against a dark ground. So yesterday, if you watched the video, we did a seahorse, and we had a gridding on the nature of the seahorse. So we drew the dark lines on white paper. What is ultimately going to happen is that we're going to have to shade this whole thing. And then where we had dark marks, there's not a chance in hell we're going to get to this. In this little session here, but anticipating you make the marks with the dark, tone the whole thing, and then you use your beautiful Bic eraser pencil and you erase the hatch marks. So now you have essentially the negative. You're drawing with the negative, and then you can work those gaps. When I say work those gaps, I mean you can draw the, what was it again, Maureen?
Maureen had to take off.
Oh, well, what is
Oh,
that?
it's the chair rail.
The chair rail. I love that when you were drawing, you have to draw the chair rail through the chair, and then you can shade the little diamonds between the wicker. And that, when you're painting, is a royal pain in the ass, unless you have all the time in the world and you think it's the most beautiful thing in the world. Like anything that makes it harder is going to be better. And this is one of those examples where you can just see she just soaked all of it in. Chair rail, all the way off the edge of the page. Okay.
Trevor, I have to take off too.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you.
I know I went kind of fast, but you can tell it's going in the right direction.
Yeah. We'll just continue it. Thank you.
You're so
Grace, do you want to show yours before you leave?
Sure, but I really only have an arm. An
Oh,
arm
that's
of the chair.
beautiful. Can you hold that a little bit further from? Yeah. Perfect. A little further and freeze it.
yeah, you got the chair.
Beautiful.
At least
Beautiful.
the chair is sitting on the ground. I think that's the main component there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Grace.
Bye.
Take care, Grace.
Bye.
Let's see. We we did the rose. I think it was good to do the rose. I shouldn't have rushed so aggressively. Was it all right? Does it make sense hearing what I'm saying? Or I really am going too fast. Mary and Adele, you're the last two. How do you feel?
I'm following, but it's a good pace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
No, it's
What
all
about Mary? Was I going too quick or did you nail it?
It's okay. I mean, here's mine. It's coming along.
Maybe you got to hold up for 10 more seconds because in order for me to stop the
Yeah.
share, I have
And
all
a
this
little
other stuff
bit
that comes up, and then I have to.
Further away from the screen, Mary. And down a tiny bit. Perfect. Just freeze that. Excellent. Thank you.
I'm gonna have to go. I have an appointment. It's very nice.
That's it.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good week.
All right.
Adele. Oh, that's lovely. If you can hold that just a tiny, yep, right there. Yeah, that really looks like an alcove. I love the recessed, how you got that window recessed.
Yeah, it looks like an alcove. I don't think it is,
Oh, I don't know. I love it.
but
Yeah, the chair sits very nicely on the ground. Adele, that was great.
thanks.
Now the question is, how should we continue? Do you want me to continue this further later?
We're kind of committed to this picture, I think.
Okay, good.
I bet we all would want to see it through.
Okay, so yeah,
Abandon
we'll come in next week and do it. Good. I do want to see it through too. And I think that'll actually help Stephanie a little bit. I can send her the video and catch her up on where we are. The rose, I think, was a nice interlude, but it wound up taking longer than I was expecting. So, but I think when we resolve this picture, it will come in handy ultimately, tying it all together with, smooth edges and tones.
One thing I like about all three things today is that it was a real exercise in soft tones.
Mm-hmm.
And it did remind me of the Georgia O'Keeffe iris that we did way back. And I loved
Oh.
it. So, it's sort of applying that same thing to three different, three different pictures is really a great exercise, I think.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I thought there was that thread. I was hoping to do that. It just, there's only so much you can do in 2.5 hours.
I know. Anyway, I'm glad we solved the echo because you're not hearing an echo now, right?
No, it's great. No, you're whoever that was did it just right.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I had help.
All right. You're so welcome. Stacey, I'll see you later today.
Thank you so much, Trevor.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Mhm.